We're going to drain the swamp of corruption. Drain the swamp. And that's what we're doing. We are going to Washington, D.C., and we are going to drain the swamp.
This is Harvey Barnard from the NESARA organization. NESARA stands for National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. It's a package that Harvey has put together, and he joins us in studio today.
I'm a systems troubleshooter. I take a look at a system for my clients and decide what's wrong, what's the problem. And we've got some real problems in this country. This time next year, we're looking at a $6 trillion debt. NESARA is the only bill out there that says we get rid of $1 trillion worth of debt up front.
Drain the swamp, and that's what we're doing.
Hi, I'm Dee'S Bernard-Gerber, Dee for short. As you may know, my father was Harvey Francis Bernard, author of the National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. We can clear up a misconception right there. It is stabilization.
Welcome to the Real NESARA Show. I'm Dee'S Bernard-Gerber, along with my friend and partner, FCB, and his wonderful team. We are so glad that you are all here, and we have got a great show for you tonight. We are just so excited. How you doing, FCB?
So, now, do you want to go with your surprise, or do you want to go with the other grifter stuff?
Well, it's all packed up into one. So let's
you roll it.
We'll unpack it. Let me tell my my tale first. I'm working toward retirement, and so part of that effort is cleaning out my house. And my husband worked on power lines. He's in the power industry, and he worked on power lines from a helicopter for 16 years. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but the helicopter hovers next to the power lines. The guys sit on the outside and they work on the power lines. So we have a lot of newspaper articles of him being, when something like that rolls into town, people are all about it, And so going through one of those boxes, I said, oh, this is a bunch of his articles and stuff. Well, there was one in there that was not about my husband. It was about Harvey. And I got it, and I thought, my gosh, this has been sitting here this whole time. And I want to share it with y'all. And drum
roll, everybody!
Yeah, this
is a world exclusive. You're seeing it here,
right?
With DEE and FCB on the Freedom Channel broadcast for the very first time on the Real NESARA Show.
Yes, and thank you for that. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to blow it up a little bit.
Please blow it up as much as you can.
Okay, this is an article that was written. I want y'all to first notice the date. January. This was published.
Yep, zoom right in.
Is that good?
There we go. Yes.
It's not blurry. Okay.
Look at the date, guys.
January 17th, 2005. It was published by the American Free Press, which is still in business today, as many people may know. Now, title, NESARA, too good to be true? Maybe not. What is that? Like pie in the sky? Maybe not. Okay, so that I couldn't believe it. It fit in with our chapter. Here's one of the great things about it. Look at the author of this article, John Tiffany. John Tiffany was also the person who wrote a chapter for this book right here, the very first chapter we went through, which was NESARA, the afterward, the NESARA story.
That's right.
And remember, we were wondering, well, who was John Tiffany?
Page 338.
Yeah, 338. There you go. And I found out that John Tiffany worked for the American Free Press, because once I discovered this and I read it, which I'm going to read every word to you guys, it was, I called them and I said, hi, I said, I'm looking for I want one of your archived articles. We can you send it to me? And a very nice young man I talked to, and he said, what I have in my database goes back to 06. He said, my editor can get further back. He said, we're going to work on it for you. It was very, very nice. And I said, well, I would really like to talk to Mr. John Tiffany, if that's possible in any way. He said, we all would like to talk to Mr. John Tiffany. He obviously had a great deal of respect for him, and but he had passed on. And I said, okay, thank you very much. So they're supposed to be getting me their archived article. Now, again, think about the date, think about the time, and I'm going to read this to y'all. In fact,
17 it's no coincidence. Number one, 117. There's only 117, right?
Right.
17 equals Q.
2005. Like I said, you just cannot make this up, and it is just crazy. So here we go. There is a mysterious phenomenon going around that is known as NESARA. NESARA would be an acronym for the National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act, which is said to be a legislative proposal that merely reintroduces specie, as an alternative currency to help combat anti-inflationary policies of the paper Federal Reserve note. It may originally have been a good idea with patriotic appeal, but sadly, this proposal seems to have become a magnet for some dubious characters. If you believe in someone calling herself Dove of Oneness, or more often just Dove, a pseudonym, of course, or Oliver, two of the shadowy figures involved with NESARA, the exact text of the proposal is actually secret. Thanks to Supreme Court, Oliver attributes to Dove this bizarre statement. So this is apparently a statement that she made back during this time. By the order of the Supremes, the full text of NESARA cannot be published till its announcement. By the order of the Supremes, the docket numbers and congressional bill numbers were removed and held in secret, to be revealed only after NESARA's announcement. Okay, to continue. In reality, there are two NESARAs, the fraudulent version pushed by con men and the real original version. Although
can I say that con women as well?
Okay, yes, con women. Well, obviously, yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah.
Although the NESARA proposal has apparently been presented to many congresspersons over the years, and some have allegedly expressed interest in the proposal, the fact is that it hasn't built up sufficient support for even introduction to committee, thereby verifying the fact that it had not even gone to committee in Congress. Maybe someday the NESARA proposal will find support in Congress and may be presented for a vote, but that reality isn't the point. According to Quadaloos.com, the website of Financial and Tax Fraud Association, when certain scam artists claim that NESARA has been enacted into law by secret acts of Congress, they are lying, because NESARA has never even been formally made into a bill, nor presented for either a committee vote or full vote in Congress. There are no secret acts of Congress, since it is all in the congressional record. Scam artists often latch onto something that sounds good to relieve people of money. For example, scammers often set up boiler room phone solicitations to supposedly seek charitable donations for firemen or children, which the con artists then pocket. The NESARA proposal is currently being used in just such sort of a scam. Excuse me. Con men claim the true NESARA law, meaning their phony version, was actually adopted by Congress in 2001, but that Congress has been keeping it a secret and that soon the law will be announced. Dove hosts a website called The Four Winds that spew a bunch of New Age hokum, such as Lord Ari's galactic tales. Additionally, Dove has...
You realize that?
I know you do. Update line currently running about 7 months out of date that you can call, and there was the phone number, to hear the latest on the true NESARA law. These updates offer totally bizarre news events, such as that 100,000 bankers would not accept true NESARA law as have been eliminated, and that the spaceships of the Galactians are regularly seen visiting Washington. It did not state what galaxy they hail from. According to the Dove crowd, somehow the 9/11 attacks were a conspiracy to cover up NESARA. On the other hand, there is the Real NESARA Institute, which is not to be confused with the scammer group. Some people have suggested the fraudulent NESARA was set up partly, as least with the intention of discrediting the real NESARA. What you say, FC?
Oh,
Remember?
that is awesome.
We've talked about that. I'm
going to tell you a little bit of a surprise, guys. I used to be able to access the Four Winds website, and guess what? They've taken it down after we did the Kraken.
Wow.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the power. That's the power, ladies and gentlemen.
Of the truth.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the power. Because you know what? When you bring out the truth, these people have got nowhere to hide. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
And that's what I'm saying, Dee. We are winning, and we are winning big, because a lot of these caster characters are starting to crumble into a pile of shit, to be quite honest. Right. And rightfully so, especially where they've been lying.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, I agree. And I got some slides after this. We're gonna give some people some action steps and things that they can do, and really more information and that they can use for themselves and others, and how to help. So we left off discrediting the real NESARA. That may well be true, since many people, having encountered the Dove NESARA and recognizing it as a scam, simply assume that that is all there is to NESARA. The real NESARA people have received little publicity, while many people have heard of a NESARA scam. Unfortunately, many people would find this believable. Remember how Jean talked about, she said it was so hard for Harvey and Mike to understand.
Yeah.
Why would you trash something that is so good and so simple and would help so many people? Dr. Harvey Bernard is the author of The Real NESARA. Bernard was born and raised in Louisiana. For more than 30 years, he studied currency, banking, economics, taxes, law, philosophy, history, and sociology and politics. Bernard has a PhD in applied science, specializing in systems philosophy. After years of research and study, Bernard wrote NESARA, first as a bill for monetary and policy reform, and within a few months adding a section for fiscal policy reform. He placed the NESARA into the public domain so that any representative could sponsor the bill and receive full unfettered credit. And this was the contact information that was in the article. But here's the real thing right here. I have it. So tucked away, and I'm sorry for that.
It's a time to rejoice. It really is, because you know what, love? We are winning, and we are winning big.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
These entities don't know what to do with themselves now. Oh yeah, by the way, any emails by any takers?
No, I haven't. Let me show this screen, and we'll go through it.
Okay.
So remove your screen off of there. How to spot a pseudo NESARA, part 2. We just looked at part 1, and that was, some of the original stuff. Okay, so here's a list of people that we've been talking about for quite some time. Charlie Ward, Dr. Scott Young, James Rink, Operation Disclosure, Dinar Recaps, MassAwakening.org, and the Galactic Federation of Light Channels. Okay, so we know that these are contemporary promoters, explicit NESARA, GESARA branding. Okay. Now, my question was, I know that Mr. Ward was suffering from some medical ailment, and I did not get an update recently on what his situation was. Yeah, well, apparently you wouldn't be smiling if you had that little disease, to be quite honest. It looks like you're smiling. Yeah. Now, this is the question that I raised. Now, Mr. Ward, Charlie, I like to call him affectionately Charlie Ward, Charlie Ward, because he lies a lot, especially he calls himself a doctor that he's not a doctor. And how do you get past that, Dee? You register a business name with the word doctor in it. You know what I mean? That's how you bypass it, right? So you can even be Dr.
you know, D if you want to be as well. Just go register your business name. You know what I mean? Very simple.
Okay. I didn't
Now,
know
that's
that.
how he did it. Now, what he's done, ladies and gentlemen, is he's gone out there, and this is the question, has he started to go grift me fun? You know, because you know how con artists work. They play the game and on the emotionally compromised. So basically, oh, please feel sorry for me. I'm in the hospital bed. I've got tubes stuck up my nose, all that kind of crap. Give me cash. You know what I mean? That's how it works. Now, Charlie Ward has got some sort of illness that apparently it affects his autoimmune system and blah, blah, blah. Now, you wouldn't be smiling like that if you had that problem. Let's be honest, I don't think anyone would be smiling with that particular disease.
No, I have a friend who suffered from an autoimmune disease, and I can tell you it was extremely difficult and rough on him, and there was no smiling. So, yeah.
No, the reason why he's
Found that a
smiling is the
little
amount of money he's made, millions of dollars. That's what's making him smile. Now, let's have a look at this. Are you ready? Can I share my screening?
Okay.
Okay, there we are. Oh, poor Dr. Charlie Ward. Number one, let's talk about, you know what he's been pushing, right? So he's been, from the very beginning, he's been a huge advocate of the med bed. Now, why is he on a hospital bed if he's pushing the med bed? And isn't he supposed to be on some med bed? This thing's supposed to repair him in 2.5 seconds. So, in other words, he's contradicting himself, basically, by putting himself out there, and he's got the tube up the nose, and he doesn't look like in some sort of space-age med bed to me. Now, the question is did he get in contact with Sky Prince or the rest of the gang and asked them for a med bed? No, obviously not, because he's not in one. And the fact is, ladies and gentlemen, those little space-age AI med beds don't bloody exist in the way they portray it to be, right? Because otherwise, he would have made an example, wouldn't he, Dee?
That's right.
If he really wanted to make an example, he would be in a med bed, right? That's the thing. And he's sitting there smiling with myasthenia gravis. Crisis, really. Yeah, look at that. He's happy and smiling, and he's got a tube shoved up his nose. There's nothing to be smiling about, especially with that little disease. You know what I mean?
All right. No,
so that's a con artist right
disease.
there.
It is a serious disease.
Yeah. But based on that information right there, Dee, right? So he's not in any med bed, right? Because you got to lead by example. When you say there's something, like me, facts, evidence, and receipts, I lead by example, right? Now, he's been going around plugging the med beds and having them all on the show. Med bed this, med bed that. Jason, or what about Jason Shakura? What's his name? That idiot. The one that's been promoting the med beds and all the rest of them. Why don't you go and donate a med bed to him? All right, since he's been helping you out, lifting your platform out there. Right? How about that one? And make an example. No, he's not making an example because it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It's disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
So we can see the early stages of an exit on that, you know.
Oh yes.
But so these are, back to my screen here. These are known offenders.
Bring them up again. I'll remove mine. Yeah, there we go. Jason Shirker, the jerker.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So, we've all of these people we have sent word out to join us, or to, come on the show so we can talk.
Yes.
But again, these are known grifters. So, if you take a screenshot of this for the viewers, you can
let's leave it there for a moment.
These are people who we know now are, I don't want to say descendants of, but they come from the Dove of Oneness theory that has been passed down and passed down and picked up and picked up and picked up, when even a little bit of research would have determined that it was not true. If you just went out there and looked, you could find, you found me pretty easy. So there's information out there about Harvey. There's ways, I've had people in my own community that when I started this, said, "Oh my God, your father was Harvey F. Bernard." And I said, "Yes, he was." And they said, "I know you." And I said, "Yeah." And they said, you don't know what's going on." I said, "No." And they said, "His work, I mean, we have sold with the hardbacks on eBay, we have sold them worldwide. So people know the truth. It's just been so overshadowed by this nonsense, like John Tiffany said, that people just say, "Oh, that's just some con. We're not worried with that. We're not interested in that." You know?
And you know what the problem is too, Dee, right? There's a whole network out there. So when I'm in the network, I call them the circle jerkers. So basically, their own little echo chamber. So, you know, News Treason does it. He does that all the time. He, in fact, has had Dr. Scott Young many, many times on his show, right? And he goes around basically having all these idiots out there, and they're enabling the falsehoods to continue, the fraud to continue. And obviously he's a fraud because he's one of these, the one that, you know, I was talking about before about the Fox News that he's got more, shall we say, viewers watching his show than Fox News.
Let me see if I understand it correctly.
Now?
So he said he has more viewers watching his show than watch Fox News.
Yeah, pretty much an idiot. Okay. He's a known offender of purchasing, so we say, bots.
Okay.
And lying to the followers, his followers, that he's got so many hundreds of thousands of people that watch him. You know what I mean? And apparently that he's actually even beat Fox News. Do you know what I mean? That's especially with the numbers that follow him, it doesn't make any sense.
It
you know
does
what I mean?
not. It does not make any sense. That's not possible.
No. And then you've got Derek Johnson that uses his laws and orders. There's another grifter as well that basically what he does is he has been on Dr. Scott Young and enabling the fake NESARA GESARA business.
Right.
And I've told Derek, please come on the show and let's talk about it. Yeah. But Derek, you know what they say? You know, there are people that want to build ballrooms because they can put their balls in there, like President Trump. They got no balls at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
They lack them in spades. All they do is blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And their gullible followers follow their crap. Now, isn't it about time that they got real and see what's really going on? Or they're going to continue believing. This is what I'm saying. I really feel for these people because you know what? We are heading closer and closer, as I say, towards the business end of the deal. You know what I mean? Which means this. Everything is going to, these exit strategies, you know, like Charlie Ward is coming up with his health. Then there's going to be all these others. Now, these people are going to be left high and dry. Their supply of hopium is no longer going to be, you know, given to them. And what's going to happen? Their lives, their walls are going to be crashing all around them, and they're going to be wishing that they listen to us, Steve. That's the problem. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, I think we talked about that in the pre-show, and there is what you call motivated reasoning, and
yes,
that is facts are sometimes not enough. Okay, you can present people with facts, but they are still going to reject them, whether they realize they're true or not, simply because they have motivations to do so. In other words, number one, by accepting a fact, they have to admit that they were wrong or that they were misled.
Yeah.
This causes shame and embarrassment, and I don't want people to feel that way. I really, really don't. You know, I'm talking about the followers here. There's no need for that. Also, you are now asking someone to separate themselves from what I like to call their pond or their group. You know, they're going to look at you and say, "Oh, well, you're propaganda. You're not real," even though inside they may realize that you're giving them the facts. By accepting that, they separate themselves from their friends or their families or their other believers, their network. And that's a difficult thing for people to do. And it's called motivated reasoning. So in their mind, they justify that. And they say, no. And, you know, it's the same thing. Fake news. You know, both sides point fingers at each other. Well, that's fake. This is fake. And without taking a look at the facts like we do here. And, you know, again, I've said it many times, bring me some facts and I will look at them. And I have an open enough mind to say, hey, I may have been wrong about this or that or whatever. You and I talk all the time. We don't always agree with each other, but we look at the facts and we go, oh, okay.
That's right.
This is what it is. And so there's a certain kind of people who are naturally adept at that. We're some of those people. It takes a lot of courage. You and I take hits all the time. Constantly.
Oh, yeah, we do. And I love them now.
Courage. I know we have the courage to step out and do that. Not everybody does, but what you have to know is we're here to support you. If you're interested in the facts, we're the place to go.
That's right. I mean, look, there's a whole list of them. I mean, look, there's another one here, doctor. They also have a doctor title.
I know the doctors. Yeah.
Scott Young, the GESARA specialist, end time specialist. I forgot to add that one because he's, that whole bullshit about the rapture that I've exposed anyway. You saw that thing that I brought out about the rapture and all that.
Yeah, we talked.
It was very interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah. How all these people planned for it and it didn't come, and so and how elevating to that status rapture. It's a spiritual thing in my mind. You elevate to it spiritually. And
I don't know how they continue to kick the can up the road. So basically, they just missed out on the 23rd of September. You heard about that one, right?
Right.
So now they kick the can up the road, and they're like, they don't know where to go next. You know what I mean? But they continue to kick the can up the road because you know why? They want to make money. It's all about money and followers, right?
That's right.
So the more followers they have, the more money they make, right?
Right.
And
remember we brought out that video, the one that I sent you. Oh gosh, it was a while back. The AI generated video of President Trump signing NESARA GESARA and said, "Oh, January 1st, it's going to be here," and blah blah blah, and that people buy into that.
They buy into a lot of garbage, unfortunately, and this is why I'm saying there's a lot of these end time specialists out there. They're connected to NESARA GESARA. Have you seen it? There's a whole heap of them.
Oh yeah,
and it's like these people are so gullible. I really feel for them. They're that gullible that they believe the garbage that they're spinning out there. And these people are multi-millionaires. Have a look. They're multi-millionaires. Go and do the maths. You know what I mean? I don't get it. Why are people that stupid, Dee?
They're powerless, FC. They feel powerless. And in that state, you're going to cling to anything, anyone, again, back to the politicians who do the same thing to us. Don't get it confused. They promise utopia. We got you back. We're going to take care of you. Everything's going to be all right. And for a slight bit of relief, as
everything's going to be all right.
And people are so tired and so worn out, and to have a little bit of peace for 5 or 10 minutes, they'll jump at it. They will go toward anything that will promise them that peace of mind, even if it's not factual. Again, presented with the
facts. It's not factual. That's a problem.
We know that. But they're going to go to that. But you present them with the facts, and then they have to regroup. And like I said, that's when that motivated reasoning comes in, and they go, "Oh, what's going on?" I had the screen up there a minute ago about a checklist that people can use to go through and help them determine if what they are viewing is real or not. And so, this little picture here. I'm going to do some little research, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, Dee, but I have to. Okay. You know me, I like to dig. There's a few little suspicions. That looks a bit weird. That business. That's the oxygen. It's just the oxygen too.
Yeah, I know, but it's like people are saying it looks like it's cordless.
Okay,
that's what they're saying. It's funny in the chat, guys.
Okay,
but you know what? I want to see if this is real or if it's AI. Because you know what? We are living in the world of AI, ladies and gentlemen. And as an investigative journalist, it is within my right to make sure that picture is very factual. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that. So very good.
Because look, anything can be replicated with AI.
Yeah.
And I've got my tools to be able to analyze certain things. Now, the tools will go through it, work out the various shades, this, that, the other, and be able to analyze whether that is an AI photo or it could be something that he staged as well. Remember, these con artists, they They don't have any shame. They don't, Dee.
No,
You know what I mean?
They don't. And that's why
Someone's saying
hopefully
this.
people will wake up and realize that what they're following is not going to happen. It's
Look at
not.
this. Not oxygen. What does that say? That's a bit of a
Cannulus Smollett.
cannula Smollett. What's that? That's very
I know
interesting.
who Jesse Smollett was.
What is a cannula Smollett?
I know what calendula is. That's a mom. That's all
How do you
I'm
spell the
sure.
last one? Smollett.
Oh, I see what they're saying. They're saying the tube that he has running to his nose, which would presumably be to deliver oxygen, which
Let's go
that's
to
the
that
way they
little
do
photo.
it now. They're saying that it is smaller, that the real tube is smaller than that. And I believe that's what I
Oh.
got from Lulu.
Maybe got it out of some sort of, who knows, hardware shop or something. Conjured it up. Anything's possible, guys. You just can't
Anything
trust
is
these con
possible.
artists.
Anything
You
is
know?
possible. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're getting back to what you're saying, Dee. Yeah, look, there is a lot of these entities going on out there, and they've been lying and deceiving people, right? And it's up to us to use our common sense and our
That is
discernment,
correct.
right?
That's
There's
right.
so many of them. There's so many.
Yeah, there are. And so, in addition to, like I said, it's a grassroots movement. It is up to us, and it is the message, not the messenger. And all of us are messengers. Like I said, once you read this, you understand it, you follow us, you know what's going on, then you can carry the message. Along the way, you can help identify these grifters.
I'm
By a
finding it.
few simple
Okay, can I
questions.
show you some little findings which I'm finding already, and I
Go
can
ahead.
suspect, which I need
Okay.
to go and do some more, but I can see a few anomalies, and let me show you what I'm telling you.
Okay,
Are you ready, Dee?
I'm ready.
All right, guys. As an investigative journalist and all that, I've got tools at my disposal. However, I've become trained in the art of spotting fakes, right? Now, as you know, what do? We zoom in. Can you see that there's a outline over here, Dee?
Yes.
You can see it.
Indicate
That means
green
it's been
screen.
superimposed over the photo. Look.
Yeah.
Can you all see it, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to do a full analysis, which will bring that all out there. But as you can see, the top of the head, there is a blurring of a line that has been cut. So this photo, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like it's been manipulated. Look at that, Dee. Do you see how it's got like a little halo? All these pixelations? That's indicative that they have been manipulating this photo. So I'm definitely going to put it through my analysis tools, and I'm going to expose this fool once and for all. You know what I mean?
Right.
And show what a fraud he really is. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Even this has been cut. Look at this. All around the tube.
Right.
Look. The head. All this.
Well, I'm going to be interesting to see what your
But look, Dee,
analysis
that's how they work.
yeah.
Look,
I've seen the
there's your
green screen are
signs.
super
Right there. Everyone can see it in the chat. It stands out, ladies. I'm gonna do a report on this. I'm gonna blow this thing to pieces. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's a fraudster, a huge fraudster. Look at that. Look at this.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Right.
That's not natural, guys. Look at this. Even the outline. Look at this. So it's all along, but it's, look at this. When you over here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't you worry, guys. You know me. I'm going to bust his ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go
And
get
I'm
him.
going to expose the fraudster that he is once and for all.
Great.
Yeah, don't you worry,
Great.
guys.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking.
You know
forward
me,
to that.
Dee. I've got my
I know you
tools. I've
will.
got everything.
You're gonna-
I'm
you're
going
gonna
to
do-
blow
you're
this
gonna do
prick
the
to
analysis.
pieces.
That's going to be great. That's going to be great. I'm anxious to see. Really am.
And then when I do it, I'll have the full report. Don't you worry. The exposure, the report, and everything. And then
Yeah.
these entities have to start thinking of ways to getting out. because one by one, they're going to be falling.
Right.
And see, everyone can see it. Well done. See, just with the naked eye, guys, by zooming in, and remember, as a investigative journalist, I've been trained also in that art, right? So that's part of being an investigative journalist, right? I've had to do many, many parts of the course, and exposing AI is part of my course as a journalist that I had to do in this new technology that they use. So there you go.
Right. You've got to be able to detect them.
Yes. Because your word is your word. As a journalist,
Right. Yeah.
it's very important. A real journalist, not those fakers out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're
No,
not journalists.
yeah, they're not. I think journalism, certainly in America has, gone by the wayside a long time ago. So.
Oh, look, Charlie Ward, I've exposed him. Now think about this. So, a doctor that's not a doctor, I brought the facts and some receipts, I've shown the documents. I've exposed him over and over and over. How many times even his son has called him a fraud? You know what I mean?
That's right. That's true. I
So
remember that. Yeah.
why shouldn't the fraud not continue? You know what I mean? He should have been in the med bed by rights, right? He's not in the med bed. So the fraud continues. It's just one fraud after another, after another. And then if he started grifting by doing a go grift me fund on those funds, and then people got suckered in, no, I've got news for you, all right? I'm going to bring out an expose on that man, and I'm going to show you all the facts and some receipts, and then you're going to think to yourself, am I going to get my money back? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I wouldn't look for that. But
No.
I wouldn't.
And then
look for
also,
that.
people need to stop enabling. People need to stop enabling fraudsters, right? That go around and promote this man, right?
Right.
And have anything to do with him. Okay, that's what you need to do, is stop enabling these cast of characters. You really need to stop, because these cast of characters are just going to continue doing what they're doing and going on and on and on and on and on. And I'm talking about these supposed citizen journalists, right? Because they're not they should get rid of that word journalist. They should get rid of the word, that they're podcasters. They're just a bunch of deceivers themselves, Dee. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm saying. No. Look, people need to look. Look at this. Look at this guy here, Mr. News Treason again. Well, they're still going on about GESARA. Look at that with Captain Kyle and the gang. Look at this. Still going. The one that supposedly got more people on Fox News on his podcast.
Yeah.
How does that grab you?
Yeah, I don't think that's not possible, because if he had
Look at
more,
this.
listen, if he had more people, let's use the common sense, okay? It's ridiculous.
Look at that.
If he had more people than Fox News, he would be on Fox News. If he was generating that much support.
He hasn't learned, this dickhead. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that word, but he hasn't learned Mr. Dave Treason or Channel 17. No, go and get your things and pack your bags. You're going there supporting, there we go, Dr. Scott Young, GESARA, James Rink, which you mentioned, right?
Yes.
And Charlie Ward with the fake QFS, Dr. Charlie Ward, the one that's pretending to be on a on some sort of bed that he's not, right, which I'm going to bring out and expose, that he should be in med beds. Now, if I type in here med beds, I wonder what comes up, Dee. There we go, med beds, there we go. Stephen Treason's got it right there. Yeah, he's committing treason everywhere. Look at this. Med beds are all other technologies are being suppressed by the pedophilia elite. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. So what doesn't that entity give Charlie Ward a med bed, since he talks about him all the time? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's nonsense. We know it's nonsense. And, that's just, it's just the way it is. I can bring up that page you had.
I'm just saying that they don't learn. They don't learn.
No, they don't. But here, I'm going to share this real quick, and I'm going to give them some tips, and we're gonna let them, if people want to screenshot this, or if they want to take a picture with their phone or whatever. This is how to spot in 10 seconds.
Yep.
It's a list.
Used there.
Okay. There it is up there. Okay. So let's start at the top. How you can spot a pseudo NESARA. For nearly 3 decades, the name NESARA has been used and often abused across the internet. What began as a serious proposal for fiscal and monetary reform authored by Dr. Harvey Bernard, who was a real doctor, in the 1990s,
The real doctor, there you go.
was
The real
later,
one.
was later distorted into a patchwork of conspiracies, false prosperity programs, and claims of secret laws. The NESARA Institute, that's me, exists to restore the original meaning and purpose of Dr. Bernard's work, a lawful, transparent reform, monetary stability, fair taxation, and the restoration of economic sovereignty to the American people and globally. So, here you go. How to spot a pseudo NESARA claims in 10 seconds. First, uses National Economic Security and Reformation Act instead of Stabilization and Recovery Act. Mentions GESARA, Global Currency Reset, or QFS. References prosperity packages, Saint Germain funds, or Galactic Federation. Claims the act was already signed, suppressed, or awaiting announcement. Links NESARA to QAnon, which we know there's no Q. There are Q and
That's
there are
right,
non,
doesn't
so there's
exist.
No QAnon. Okay.
Yeah.
RV currency trading or secret military operations. It requests donations, subscriptions, or intel access. Promotes non-verifiable timelines, any day now, soon to be implemented. Okay, these are the things that we have been talking about for what, 2.5, 3 months now.
Yep.
These are telltale signs that you're not dealing with a legitimate a subject here. Okay, now we have asked over and over for, come on down, we'll talk to it. Again, I will discuss with anyone. You bring me something legit to look at, but you cannot bring me a bunch of I heard, or they told me, or I know someone high up, or I have an NDA. And I had a thought about this, and I'm gonna kind of just bounce this off of you. We, the social media platforms, we understand.
Sorry, can I make you laugh for a moment? It's just so ridiculous. I have to, Dee. I'm sorry.
What?
Okay, because we're talking about Dr. Scott Young. Have a look at this crap right here. He's selling his paper book for $14.71. You might as well use toilet paper, Dr. Scott Young. That's why he doesn't want to ring you, Dee. No, he doesn't want to contact you.
I've seen his book. I can assure you that Harvey had nothing in mind about the end times or the connection to biblical text or anything like that.
Look, I wouldn't put any weight in Dr. Scott Young coming to see you very soon, anytime soon, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I'm going to work, like I said, I was starting to say the social media outlets. I'm grateful that they allow me to bring this, allow you to bring what we have to the table. And they are certainly within their right to sponsor or show anything that they want. It's still a semi-free country. Okay. Yeah. What I have noticed is I don't think, and I would depend on the viewers to help me with this question. I don't recall seeing any one of these sites or the people who run these sites on talking to a legitimate congressman. I don't see them on any television or news stations going out there and saying, hey, we have this plan, this is what we want to do, this is what's going on, what's happening, or bringing it to light in any other way other than in podcast. I don't recall seeing any one of these sites or the people who run these sites on talking to a legitimate congressman. I don't see them on any television or news stations going out there and saying, hey, we have this plan, this is what we want to do, this is what's going on, what's happening, or bringing it to light in any other way other than in podcast, what do I want to say? Conspiracy theory type podcast. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm not like that. I will talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime. radio, television, and I hope to be able to talk to some political leaders because I have something to offer. I have something tangible and real in my hand, a written plan. Right.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that you don't see these people in legitimate circles is because they have nothing to back them up.
Yep.
Am I off the mark there, or, you know?
No, you're not off the mark. I'm just saying that these entities have been taking, shall we say, Harvey's work and making a lot of money. And realistically speaking, it's time for them to go. You know what I mean? They all have to go, Dee. You know, enough's enough. And if they don't want to go, well, we all have to make them go. We all have to do our bit.
Well, like I said, you know, people are still going to believe whatever makes them sleep well at night and whatever they feel comfortable with. However, the truth is going to march on. It is not going to wait for you. Okay. If just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not so.
Yes, that's right.
That's all I can, that's all I can say.
That's right. No, it's all good, guys. Don't worry. It's all good. Yeah. Now, what do you think?
Any questions?
Yes, question time. Question time. Questions, guys. Any questions that you would like to ask? Now is the time. Right? So put a Q in front of your question and don't be shy. We're not going to bite. Okay, we only bite those that deserve it. Okay, those caster characters.
I don't bite.
Oh no,
I leave that to you.
Yeah, no. Look, I wouldn't be surprised that you get that from me because it rubs off. In the meantime, guys, thumbs up, great comments. Let's share this all around the place. Where we go on, we go all. Come on, we all got to do our bit. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. It's a grassroots thing. So I encourage people, listen, don't think that you're going to be ostracized by bringing this up. You know, I think that's a big thing. That's why I designed the t-shirt. Ask me about the real NESARA. I can't tell you how many times I've been standing around in other places and the nature of the conversation lend itself to that. And when I bring it up to someone, they go, oh yeah, now two things happen. Either they've never heard of it, don't know anything about it, or they know the con. And so when I start talking to them, they get very interested because they say, wow, this is something that I can get behind. This is something that can really make a difference.
Okay, this one I'm just a bit sort of, what's his thoughts on the people who are threatening to stealing because they don't have EBT anymore.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a little bit caught up on that one. First of all, EBT is, they call it, that's the card you use to get food stamps. Used to be actual paper, but now it's digital. Okay. And it's a card. And people depend on that, that can't afford food. One, I would never support anything that led to that kind of food insecurity. Okay. I don't think it's right that they should be, so
electronic base transfer.
In other words, they used to, a long time ago, you went down to the food stamps office and they mailed them to you and they were actually pieces of paper. Okay. Well, as time passed, now it's a card and you have so much money on your card. It's an EBT card and most stores take them. Grocery stores, convenience stores, that type of thing. Well, because of the shutdown, from what I'm understanding, is that those funds are being pulled. Okay. So for people who genuinely need it, who really need it, like I said, I do not support that kind of, food insecurity. But we have to look deeper than that. Okay. We have to look at why there are so many people on that. You're looking at a segment of the population who has been that way for a long time. In other words, their parents, had to get food stamps, their grandparents, whatever. It's a way of life. Well, where did that come from? The politicians created it. They created a segment of the population that depended on them so that they could have control over them. Okay. So how do you break that? That's the real question. Okay. First of all,
Agreed.
you don't pull the rug out from under people who need food, period. You just don't do that.
Yep.
But secondly, you fix the root cause back to Harvey's NESARA. It
Yes.
will solve those problems. This one was about Blue Sky. I've already joined, and it's under NESARA Institute at Blue Sky. And I posted a few things there. And I, like I said, I'm not a social media whiz. I do enough to keep up with my Facebook, but I'm trying to get better. I just don't have the time to do it, you know.
It's pretty full on, isn't it? Especially,
yeah, I know. I'm on True Social and I'm on Blue Sky, but like I said, I don't have time. I keep up with the Facebook a little bit. So yeah.
I've been looking at Blue Sky. So number one, Blue Sky is very limited as to what it's like Twitter. It's exactly the same thing. So with Twitter, unless you buy a premium subscription, you're limited to the amount of text, you know, because apparently text costs money, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you can only put a certain amount of text, and that's how it works. So in other words, if you want to put in the statement, forget about it. You know, me being a journalist and putting in things, you got to be very, shall we say, precise, to the point.
Concise. Yeah.
Concise, yes. And a few sentences, that's it. That's all it's good for. Now, when you look through what they talk about, you know, they're pretty much not Trump supporters, right?
It was tough to take when I first got on there, but you know what? I had to do that. Okay, that's a good exercise. I can't go out there and ask you and ask people to hey, stop living in your bubbles if I'm not willing to do it myself. And I went out there and I said, okay, yeah, this was tough, but in and amongst all the fighting, the ridiculous, pointless, you know, things that they talk about, you will find some common ground. And again, the common ground I found is what I talked about tonight, which was people feel powerless. And when they do, they will strike out, you know, and until we realize, once again, we're all in the same ship, that's not going to change. Hopefully truth coming out will have an effect on that, because again, it's all gonna come down to the bottom of the funnel. So. Exactly.
And you know what, like the White House, they're on that particular platform. There's a few others that are in the conservative movement that are on that platform as well. And you know what it is? It's like, you know what, we're going to meet you on your own ground. That's what it's all about. And that's what it's about, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about left and right. It's about breaking down the barriers and using common sense. That's what I truly believe.
I agree. We have a question here. Whoops, let me get to it. Okay. So what was your mom's reaction to the letter from Trump? Oh, she said, oh, well, that's very nice. That's what she said. Oh, that's nice. But yeah, that was I felt blessed to get the acknowledgement that he got my email and that he heard us, you know.
Yeah.
That's
nice. Good. That's good, guys.
Let's see what else we got. Okay, let's address this one. I have heard people talk about the RV. Is that different from NESARA, GESARA? Okay, once again, RV, and you know more about that than I do. NESARA, GESARA descends directly from the Dove of Oneness, who co-opted Harvey's bill back in the early 2000s. So when you hear NESARA, GESARA, that is not the real NESARA. It is their story, their claims.
That's it.
And as it, you know, FC has pointed out many times, it was a national, which was, you know, here in America. But as you said, how do you take that grift? How do you expand it? How do I make more money? So you take it globally. If you look at their bulletin sheet, their fact sheet or whatever, and really start to look at the things that are there, you go, this doesn't make any sense. It's not fair. It's not realistic. And where's your bill? Where's it written out? And it's not. RV, you want to take that one, FC?
So it's called the reevaluation. So basically, it's the currency. So with the Iraqi dinar, so low level value currency, and what they've been doing, it's an old scam. So this is an old scam being brought back from the days of remember when Iraq wars and all that. What they were trying to do with Iraq was to put a central bank. At the end of the day, put a reserve bank there. That was what the war was all about, and Saddam didn't want a bar of it. After all, they planted him there anyway in the first place. Now, what happened was they used that example. So when they toppled down Saddam and they introduced the central bank dinar, the Iraq dinar, it went up. And they say, see, this how it's gone up, and then it went down again. Okay. And then they're saying it's going to go up again. So they've been using this Iraqi dinar scam, this reevaluation, and they keep making excuse upon excuse. Now, this was all exposed back in the time, okay? And I did it on the Kraken as well. So this is all a scam. They've been kicking the can up the road for many, many years now. And they keep saying, the reevaluation is going to depend on, for example, with the Zimbabwe dollars. That was good old Charlie Ward again, right? So they said that, it's going to be used for humanitarian projects, but it depends on when you got to go to these redemption centers. So they made this whole bunch of crap up like the Dove of Dumbness, right? Yeah. And you've got to go to these redemption centers, and then they've got to see whether you're worthy or not using extraterrestrial technology.
That's
right.
That's what I knew. It went off the beaten. It wasn't like just an investment.
It's gone off
but
straight to hell, to be quite honest. Now, everyone believed that, and that's what people. Obviously, they're good at heart. They want to do humanitarian work, and what does it do? It gives, shall we say, he cares. Do you see what I mean? Charlie cares. You know what I mean? He's just Charlie. He's a lovely man. This and the other, the uncle that everybody wants. So this is the part of the con. And by that, what it did was it dropped down your guard. So then the real cons keep flowing, you know what I mean? So then you can make more and more money. So do you see what I mean? That was to bring down your guard, So these reevaluations is a scam. The ding dong, right? The good old ding dong, or what do you call it? The Vietnam dong is another scam. I've exposed that. Watch the Kraken. I went through it with a fine tooth comb.
I'm going to be working on a comparison of the points of Harvey's and Sarah and the policies that Trump has put into place, or that kind of say, and kind of line them up and see where we are, apples for apples, at least on a philosophical level.
Yeah, it's about it's about connecting, and it's about being honest and being open, because what, the others haven't been honest and being open, and I know people are hunger. They're here hunger for the truth. You know what I mean, Dee? I mean, why are you here? It's because you want to know. Because we've all been lied to, we've all been deceived. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes, and we're anything if not authentic. And I'm not someone, and you know this from working with me. If I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know, and I will try to find an answer. In fact, we did some research
about that one. What about Basel 3D?
I did the research on that a little bit.
Yes.
So we can jump into that real quick. This gentleman had a question here. So, or I say gentleman, I'm sorry. Could be lady. Majestic Mountains.
Majestic Mountains.
Okay. So if the banks crash, they go away, ? What happens to loans you owe? Who would you owe? So there's several paths there we can go to get to what the nature of your question. So if banks crash, now, if the whole systems crash, it's going to be bad. And that's what I was saying. I just cannot foresee President Trump doing that, simply because he really cares about people. So I don't think he would just okay, we're just going to bring the whole thing down. Now, through NESARA, the banks don't crash. The system is changed, and it's all outlined in the book. What happens is the Federal Reserve goes away. The currency, a new treasury system is created. Their job is to, the currency is backed by gold and silver, and their job is to regulate the exchange rate. The banking industry has changed simply because of they will no longer be able to charge compound interest. Compound interest will go away for secured loans. Well, what does that mean for everybody? We did an example last week or the week before about mortgage, and so I'll just use that. If you have a mortgage on a home and you, as you know, by the end 30 years, by the end of that, you're going to have paid for 2.5 houses. Okay. With no compound interest, the banks are allowed to charge a monetization fee.
Compound. Yeah. We're getting pounded each day. Fed up, to be quite honest, being pounded.
If you have a mortgage right now, and at the time, NESARA, if it were to pass, those would be recalculated. So you would have your principal balance plus any monetization fee that is now being allowed to be charged by law. If you have paid on your house for anywhere from 17 to 20 years, you have probably satisfied that balance. So you're done. If you haven't, then you would still be making payments. However, you are not going to pay for 2.5 houses. I believe the example we used was, let's just say a house that costs $87,000, and the bank would be able to charge you a monetization fee of, I think it was like $45,000. So in the end, you paid like $134,000. Whereas under compound interest, you were paying probably $150,000 just in interest plus your original principal. So, but the banks are still allowed to make money in the monetization fee. Also, because they get their principal, you pay your principal back first, the banks now have more money, which they can loan out, which they can make more money. On a mortgage loan, there would also be, under Harvey's NESARA, an excise tax. Okay, that's a tax that's charged on different activities within the country. It was like $25 a month. But your $25, which was figured into the scenario we did, goes back to the Treasury. So you get it back in services. It doesn't go in the banker's pocket.
You think about it, you've already paid and then some, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So when they basically get rid of this whole system, the Fed and all that, and you know the Fed buy the debt. They do buy the debt from the banks. Mm-hmm. Therefore, when you get rid of the Fed, that mechanism's gone, you get rid of the debt. You know what I mean? Because they purchased the debt element. Now, if you paid that thing and then some, what happens to that money? That's the question. And I guess that's the unknown, to be quite honest. So you think about it, Dee, you paid your house off twice, 3 times, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Do you get back that 2 times that you paid it over and over again?
No. You're not going to get a refund under NESARA. This is a clean cut. Okay, it is. So this is a new bill. This is a new way of doing it, and it's just the way it is. You can't. We can't do reparations for everyone. It doesn't work that way. However, if you are a current mortgage holder and you fall into that category during the recalculation, again, if this were passed, then you may be finished with your house notes. It just depends on how long you've had your mortgage. But irregardless, if you're a mortgage holder, that mortgage is going to be recalculated at the new rules. So, okay, I'm sitting on a $250,000 house. I just got it. I know that for the next 30 years, I'm going to be paying well over $500,000 for this house. Okay, NESARA passes, and therefore that loan is recalculated. So I'm paying my $250,000 principal plus the monetization fee. Now, monetization fees are what the bank can charge. That is based on market. Okay. It is a market run system. Okay. So right now, like personally on my home, I have a lower interest rate. Okay. Because I got it a while back. But right now, I think people's interest rate are anywhere between 6% and 7%, which we consider very high. That
compared to what the others are paying in Switzerland, 0.25.
Exactly. So, and as time goes by, those rates will come down because the tax system will bolster production. People will be working, making higher wages. I mean, it's a whole system. You know how when I was explaining about Harvey, he was a systems theorist. So every piece
Yeah.
of the system has to work together, and it has to work for the good of the whole. So once
Yeah.
you bring all of that into play, you know, it's easier to make those house notes.
Yeah. I just want to make one thing clear, so just so everyone gets it. This is based on Harvey's work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what Dee is discussing with you right now is all based on Harvey's work, the NESARA, right? That's what it's based on. So what actually happens when things happen, that is yet to be seen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going by what is factual, what is in the book. That's what we got to comprehend. I just want to make it clear, Dee,
Sure.
so everyone gets it. Because
yeah. This is his book.
Yes.
It's called. He released this in 2005. That was the year he died. He had worked on this bill for his life. It's called Draining the Swamp. 2005. Think about it, guys. The National Economic Stabilization Recovery Act. It never went to Congress. He went up there and talked to anybody he could, but it did not get passed by Congress. It is not a law. It's not even been introduced. That is up to us grassroots folks. Okay, we have to learn about it and learn the difference between the truth. Okay, the truth and what these other people are peddling. And once people realize that this has not is not been passed yet, it is not sitting in some.
it's not even created into a bill
chamber
yet.
to be enacted.
Yeah.
It's not to that point yet, not the real one. And their fantasy ones are, but you know, and until they can prove to me otherwise with more information than I know somebody who knows somebody, or I have an NDA, I cannot put any stock in what you say. So let's see. We have some questions here.
Go for it. You know what? This is very healthy dialogue, guys.
I love
Very
it.
important.
I love
we
it.
need this.
Okay, so we have one here from Kathy. Would our birth certificates bond cover our debt owing? I don't know what a birth certificate bond is.
So basically the stock market is stocks and bonds, right? So what they've been saying is that they've been, and this is what I'm saying, like Harvey didn't speak about this, right? This is totally different. So the birth certificates have been used as a bond. They've been trading us on the stocks and bonds, right? So you think about it. When we think about stocks and bonds, you know when you stock somebody, you know what a stocks are. You know when you actually got them in the stock.
A stock,
you know, like a stock. You know the stocks and the bonds, right? So the actual stocks, you're in stocks, right? So in other words, your bond means you're being bounded up, and that's what they used to do with the animals, right? So what they're relaying to us is that we are the cattle, if you will, right? And they've been trading us under the stocks and bonds market, right? Using our birth certificate as the capitalized entity, right? Because that's why we talk about the other areas of the capitalization of our names. That's another aspect altogether. Now, Harvey didn't speak about that. We've got to keep it on point, guys.
Well, yeah, but that's
very
a good question.
Important.
That's a great question because I didn't know exactly how that related. And so if there's, you know,
so each of us has a value.
Right.
Yeah. So what they're saying is that we've got a value on our birth certificate, right? So a value of X amount of dollars. What they're saying is that going to be used to counter the debt? You know what I mean? I think that's what Kathy was referring to. Okay.
Well, great question. Okay. Before the real NESARA starts, will it be announced? I have no idea. Do you? First, we got to get it. We got to get it to a. No, I'm being rhetorical. We've got to get it to Congress so they can debate it and vote on it. Okay. I always refer to the little schoolhouse rock thing. I'm just a bill. I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. It's not even a bill yet. It's a proposed bill, but
Yes.
no congressional person has picked it up. That's where we come in. Now, once that debate starts, it will be the talk of the world. Okay, for real, not in dark rooms, not in podcasts where people can't
Exactly.
but I'm talking on the front stage. And that is up to us. We have to, like I said, when we first started this, I said, write your representatives every week. You email them. I send 2 emails a week to our representatives. And what did it say? If you keep knocking on the door, someone will eventually answer, but we have to do it in mass. So you have to keep at it. And once they figure out, hey, this is going to be an issue, we better get on it. Then they will address it.
There's
Hopefully.
2 entities that you should. Well, I said Mr. Thomas Macy.
Yes, I sent him a
That's
book.
one.
I did
He's
that
in the
this week.
House, and I think Rand Paul, the senator. He's a
sent him
senator,
book
isn't he,
already.
Rand Paul?
I sent
Is
him
that
a
correct?
book several months ago. So
Okay.
yeah.
So they're the ones that are looking at getting rid of the Fed. They're the ones that are putting the bills in, all that sort of stuff. So you want to contact them, go right ahead.
Please do.
Yeah.
And let them know that, you are familiar with this, and that you want to know what their opinion is. I have not. Well, I just sent Mr. Massey his book, but I haven't heard from Rand Paul. And, like I said, did it ever hit his desk? Who knows? All those things get pushed through their people before they get up to where they're supposed to be. But
Correct.
if people are asking about it and they keep getting these emails, they're going to start to ask questions. What happens to credit card debt according to Harvey? Okay, this is an unsecured debt. Okay, so you are still responsible for that debt. What will no longer happen is that these companies, which are usually the banks that put out the credit cards, that kind of stuff, cannot charge you compound interest. Okay. So this means that you will be able to satisfy that debt in a reasonable, fair fashion. Okay. So the elimination of compound interest is huge. I think it gets overlooked a lot, but that's what makes the difference for people. Yeah. If you read the chapter, What's in It for Me, that's one of the key players in that.
Yep.
So I hope that answers your question.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's see what we have here. I often hear Trump say how great economy is. Is he speaking code down here in the real world? It's getting very real. I feel you. Yeah. And it is. And I'm,
Yes.
I would never speak for President Trump, but I'm sure he is
Look, he's
very
giving
aware
a lot
of that. Very aware of that,
Yeah, he's giving us a lot of comms. We call them comms.
Comms,
code.
yeah,
Yeah,
codes
comms.
or comms.
Yes.
Look at from his perspective for a minute. He's got the hopes and dreams of a whole lot of people in his lap, and he's dealing right now with a situation. Think of it as a patient. This patient is bleeding buckets. You first have to triage. Okay, so you have to stop the bleeding. What takes priority? And then that's why I said, I think this thing is a systematic rollout of different things that he has to take care of first. He has to make us secure. He has to make us safe. He has to calm things globally to keep all of this interference so that we can have honest, open discussions about our real problems. Having discussions about fundamentally changing our system is too much at once, right? And so I think he's doing a fantastic job. He just has to prioritize. Is that what you think, FC, or am I off track?
No, you're on point. But remember, the other day, I don't know if you saw it, he said that Washington is the capital of the world. He said it, right? Because it is. You see how it's all connected. Because remember, Fed, IRS, all that sort of stuff, it's all connected to the world. And what he's saying is this. He's making it clear that he's had to go and get rid of the career criminals. You know who he's speaking about. That's why he gives us the 1,700 career criminals. He's referring to them. Because you think about it, they are career criminals. You know how I'm talking about, the politicians and all them.
Yes.
So he's cleaning up shop. That's why I say the comms that he's given us are nice and clean and clear, because it's, number one, referring to them as career criminals, career. In other words, what's a career? Someone that's there for the long haul, the bureaucrats, right?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Good point.
Washington, D.C. Then he speaks about them. What's the capital? What's the capital of the world? Washington, D.C. He said it, right? So it all makes perfect sense.
It does.
Now, whatever, as Q says, America falls, so does the rest of the world. And it literally means it in two different ways. Number one, right, if America is kaput, the rest of the world is kaput with it, right? But also it means once it's the heads start rolling over there, the heads are going to start rolling around the world as well. You know what I mean? So, look, he is doing things right now which are unprecedented, never been done before. Never has the Fed, right, and the IRS and all these entities felt so uncomfortable because they were doing all these things in the dark. So these things have been going on for a very long time. What President Trump has done is exposing it all. And he's exposing the whole, even the lobbyists, he's exposing the lobbyists, he's exposing it all, the whole system, the corruption, the DOJ. Now think about this. You have a look. Handed off to Pamela, right? And you could see that she's slow walking a lot of things because he's showing the corruption of the DOJ. He's showing you the corruption of all those three-letter agencies and how they're working. But it's all been done by design.
Right.
He must do what he must do because he's got to awaken people organically. He must do it that way. And that's why he's got to show that America, see, under me, we're doing all these deals, this, that, the other. We're taking tariffs. He's made it very clear that America is not paying for the weapons anymore, right? He's not paying for it. It basically is he's giving the weapons, then paying for the weapons. The money's coming back into the United States instead of the other way, and then being funneled off into various, pockets, so to speak, right? So everything he's been doing is America first, right? And by doing that, because it is a national security, remember he said that too, Dee.
Yeah, he did.
About the tariffs. It is a form of national security. It is actually very important because everything's been going to China. Apple's been going to China. All these chip makers, Intel, all them, China. Now, as I said, that is a threat to national security. Now, another thing, TikTok, China. Facebook, China. People don't realize this. Even though they're the United States, they're all been in China. Okay? And they have been operating to weaken America and then basically take control worldwide because, as I said, if America falls, so does the rest of the world. Now, President Trump, by putting tariffs, has said, hey, you're going to come here, otherwise we're going to charge you through the wazoo. You know what I mean? Forget about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
so you think it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. It makes sense. It does. And where people talking about arrest, can you imagine early on, and people will say, well, this one needs to be arrested or this one needs to be arrested or go down. You had a corrupt judicial system.
Yes.
How are you going to bring justice if the judges themselves are corrupt? How are you going to bring change to a complete system like the monetary and fiscal system if you have corruption in the politicians? So just
Correct.
like you were saying, right to your point, he's got to eliminate things step by step, right? Until you have a fair playing field where you have people who are serving the country that are honest and want what's correct. But you got to get rid of everything else first, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
And
so he's got to work
to your
systematically.
point.
That's the one.
Okay. Is it only Americans that can go after Congress for this? Or are we leaving this up to Americans? I don't think so. I think you can email if you want to. If you're from another another country, you have a vested interest in America. If you export your goods here from that country, you have a vested interest here. in the monetary system. You want a fair deal.
Because everything affects us. I mean, you think about it, everything comes from there in America. So, and that's what Q says, if America falls, so does the rest of the world. So I think you go for it, Carol.
Yeah. Encourage them to do it. If Australia is now a state of U.S. Republic, will the financial reset and other changes happening there happen here also at the same time? Thank you. That's a good question. I think that if a bill is passed here in America, it affects America. Now, does not mean that these same principles wouldn't trickle down. Well, how FCB has been pointing out, the Fed is global.
Yes.
So
and
if we
so is the
eliminate the
IRS.
Fed, naturally by default, that is going to affect the other countries. It's not necessarily that maybe this entire proposal would be enacted in your country. That's up to whoever your representatives are. However, the Fed part would. Yeah.
Let me explain to you, Dee, because I've always got the facts and receipts. So let me explain to you how we're connected to the United States. And we are basically, that's why President Trump talks about during his inauguration about giving back the power from DC back to the people. Now, Australia is known as the Commonwealth of Australia Corporation. That's all factual. It came from our treasury.gov, right? We are a registered business, right? That registered business falls directly under District Columbia Corporation. So basically, we are owned by that entity. And it's the same thing with Canada, and it's the same thing with all these different parts of the world. People don't realize that. That's how they're able to control. So basically, think about it from this perspective. The Commonwealth of Australia is a corporation. Then you've got the states that are sub-corporations, as in your states as well. That's how they're able. And then they go to DC because they are representing the main corporation. It's like you got the umbrella. You know what I mean?
Right. Like a holding company and its subsidiaries.
Well, we're part of it. You know what I mean? So, in other words, this is how they get away with it. We can have the paper ballots, which we do here. It doesn't matter who gets in because they all serve the same beast up the top there. Do you get what I mean? It's an illusion of democracy. So it doesn't matter whether it's left or right. Remember, the Commonwealth, they're working for the Commonwealth of Australia Corporation. Right. The left and the right doesn't matter. That's the illusion of democracy. The same thing with the Democrats and the Republicans. It's the same thing.
Right. Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. And so, to answer the question, then yes, it would affect everything. Again, the specifics may be different, but being that y'all are represented by, we have the Washington is the, what did you call it? The capital of the world, right?
Correct. So that's what President Trump said.
So it's like the top.
It is the capital of the world. He said it.
Moves down from it.
Yeah.
So and it obviously would have an effect.
So what we're trying to say is this. Okay, let me break it down very quickly. Number one, in Australia, in Canada, and all them, we're under the royals, the Queen, or whatever it is, right? The royal family. Now, they were known, she was known as the Queen of England, right? Now, we came from the Queen of England, that was basically a royal family that was placed in 1917. They changed their name from Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. That's all factual what I'm saying. All factual. Go and look it up, right? Nothing to do with being English, you know what I mean? In fact, their history is to do with being German. That's why they did the Nazi salute and all that sort of stuff. But they're Ashkenazis as well, right? So the Rothschilds are the ones that control everything. People don't realize this. City of London. The District of Columbia Corporation were under the City of London Corporation, right? That's all can be proven. I've proven it over and over again. Now, we had the illusion of having the royal family running the show here in Australia. We called her the Queen of England, and then it changed, I think it was in the 80s, to the Queen of Australia, a fictitious character that doesn't exist, right? So, in other words, we were put under the Queen of Australia as a figure, you know what I mean, that doesn't exist, right? And then we were under the Commonwealth of Australia Corporation that is under the District of Columbia Corporation, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you can see that we are connected. We were this illusion of us being under the Queen, the royal. It's just been a bunch of garbage. So realistically speaking, President Trump. Now you can go and look this out. City of London being dissolved back in, it was in 2021, and then what happened was they dissolved that entity, which means someone's got control over everything, and you know who that is, right? President Trump, right? That's why he said, I'm giving back the power from DC back to the people. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, you got to take over the City of London. You got to take over all of these mechanisms, these world financial mechanisms and entities known as countries, right? Mm-hmm. And think about this, like people are under the illusion, because it's an illusion, that's what it is, that we are separate countries that are running by these fictitious entities out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why I'm saying President Trump has got control. Now think about this. Had President Trump said, well, guess what? I'm in control of the world now. I'm in control of Australia, Canada, all that. There would be civil war all over the place, right?
Right.
So what happened is this whole 8-year plan had to be developed to get people to basically be awakened organically. That's what they call it, the Great Awakening, right? And then President Trump has been winning the hearts and minds of the masses as well. Right. So this has all been done by design to awaken the masses and to do it in a way where it's going to get to the point where people are going to say, lock them up themselves. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do you see? And then that's why President Trump has been saying about the 51 state Canada. It's already happened. People don't realize everything's happened, right?
Right.
This is a man that cares about people.
Convincing the general population that this is
that's right.
This is taking place, and this is what's going to be better, and you want this, because
well, that's what it's all about. It's winning over the hearts and mind of the masses and getting them used to the idea. Because think about the amount of compassion a man has to have, not to say, well, guess what? I've taken over it all. I'm in control of it now. I'm the president. People would forget about it. You know what I mean? Losing the plot. Realistically speaking, these illusions of Australia being under the this and that, and it's all nothing but smoke and mirrors. That's what it is. And the same with Canada, the same with a lot of parts of the world. It's the Western world. It's the same. Now, as I said, that's why when President Trump goes to places, it's basically, you see the leaders, they buckle down, right? They know who the boss is because they literally know who the boss is. He is the boss, right? He is the boss. But think about this. He's not playing the game whereas I'm the king dingling of the world. No. He's playing it in a way where he has to do it organically, has to make sense to the masses. And that's why he talks about the 51 state and testing the waters, if you will, to see how people are going to react, right? Yeah, now here in Australia, it was and you know that they control the mainstream media now. You know that they've taken it, they've flipped it over. Well, guess what? Here in Australia, they say that we're going to be the 52nd state, right? So they've been putting that in the mainstream media. Now, you saw that the Australian Prime Minister that went there, he was sucky up Trump's bum all day long, right? Because we know who the boss is, and it's him, right? It's just a matter of people getting used to it. That's what it is. Sorry, Dee, but yeah.
Oh no, I agree, and that's really good. That I like that explanation, and it makes sense, and I think it explains in a better way why people can understand why he's doing things in a certain order, and in conjunction with the fact that I said you can't set up a new system until you get rid of the old, and that old system is rat lines globally, and so it takes everything. There you go. Where we go, on, we go all.
That's right. That whole system. Now, what he's doing is he's exposing it organically. Right. That's what he's doing. Right. Now, think about this. Wouldn't you say that Putin has shown a lot of restraint? let's be honest. Number one, you had your pipeline blown up, right?
Yeah.
Just that. Now think about this. What if they blew up the other? I just say, look at it from the other shoe on the other foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if they did that to the United States? What if they went and blew up the Keystone pipeline? How would that go down? It'll be war, right? Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
Then, Then imagine, think about this: NATO being on your, say, in other words, say Putin, he's got his own little thing going on, and he brings them to the borders of the United States, like they're doing over there, right? One in Mexico, one in Canada, okay, and they're pointing nukes in your direction, all right? Now, Putin has explained this, and he's explained it very clearly. Why would you want that on your doorstep? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't go down well either. You saw what happened with the Cuban crisis, right? And that wasn't on the border. It was, away from the border. But imagine that being on your border. Having nukes, that's exactly what they're doing, okay? And the other thing, President Trump says about sanctions, Russia have become so self-sufficient, right, and strong that's why, and President Trump knows this is the thing, people don't get it. He's got to play the game because if he's like with Russia, it's going to see, here's Russia, man. You know what I mean? It's going to basically go back to that. But he's playing the game. He's playing the game and he's saying, I'm going to sanction them. I'm going to do this. And then like the deep state are losing their minds because they're thinking, shit, it all backfired on us now. You know what I mean? We try to, show, and they trying everything they possibly can and they're losing. They're losing it big time. And Putin knows this, and they're working together with Xi, and they've got to play this little game at the moment, and it's a genius game, to be quite honest. But this is on the cards, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it, that Putin and Trump and Xi are working together, but they've got to expose these entities.
That's the point.
And think about it also. How would you like the United States is saying sanction. If you buy oil from Russia, we're going to sanction you through the bum, right? Like absolutely forget about it, right? That is a threat to national security. If that was on the other foot and Russia was telling and threatening all the countries not to do business with the United States, there would be World War III right now. So any one of these factors you can see would bring in World War III. And then the European Union, which I know President Trump, he wants to destroy NATO. He wants to destroy the European Union because the European Union were created, as he said, to destroy America, right? That was their main purpose. But then also to absorb all the European countries. And what have they done? The European countries such as Italy and all the rest of them, Greece and all them, Spain, all that, don't have control over the immigration policies, which means they flood them with all these illegal immigrants. That's why President Trump spoke about it, right? So President Trump doesn't like them at all. Just put it that way. He doesn't like EU, doesn't like NATO, but he's got to play the game right to the very end, and it's going to be to their demise, right? That's what it is. But what I'm trying to say, get back to what my point is, had any one of the things that Russia's copying happened to the United States, would be at war now.
Right.
That's why I say, do you see how it's unusual restraint?
Yes, it has been very. That's proper word, restraint, because we wouldn't have tolerated that at all. So,
that's right.
Yeah, and so you have to want, something's amiss there. But,
that's right.
But so back to the original point. Yes, we are all interconnected, and he has to do things that are going to get rid of. You can call them black hats, you can call them deep state, whatever you want to call them, but you can't rebuild with a sound system until you get rid of the bad actors. And how are you going to get rid of the bad actors? You have to convince the people they have to go. And that's where we are. So, and
what we were speaking about before, Stephen here on the chat is speaking about, remember when we were talking about the ballroom, about how do you get those? It was funny, wasn't it?
It was.
Especially when those entities that you're speaking about there, Stephen, are the very ones from Silicon Valley that have been sponsoring the Arabella advisors and their various funds in, shall we say, Antifa and all that sort of stuff, funding all those radical left organizations. They are the very same ones that have been doing it. Now, President Trump is using those same very entities to do and build the ballroom. But as I said about the ballroom too, Dee, and like I said to you in the pre-show, what's the real purpose of that? Now, going back to my example that I said about, let's talk about the military parade. How do you get assets, shall we say military assets? Because remember, this is a game of chess, as you know, right? How do you get military assets without arousing suspicion to DC? So they, you think about it, yes, we're going to do the 250 year military parade. Everything's been planned, right? Mm-hmm. So all these tanks, guns, this, that, military arsenal went all its way in the trains. Everyone saw the trains coming in. But the question is, nobody saw the trains going out, right? Which is exactly to my point. In other words, distractions, as General Flynn has made it clear, and also in the Q drops, are real. Distractions are necessary. So while people were looking at the parade, realistically, that Trojan horse with all that lovely arsenal stayed there, right? Mm-hmm. And remember this as well. You've got to basically use those entities, like we said there, right? Mm-hmm. To your advantage. So you're going to use them to pay the ballroom. But that ballroom was created back in the East Wing was back in the 1948. So I think 1948, I think Truman was running this show back then, right? Now, how do you get, shall we say, things done without arousing suspicion? So remember, Truman was a 33-degree Mason, right? At the time in 1948, it was the formation of the State of Israel. Remember? He was the one that recognized it first. Now, God knows what else is underneath that little East Wing over there. And how are you going to do it without arousing suspicion? The Trojan horse about the ballroom. Because, we're amongst all these wars. The world's on fire. And what a lovely time to build a ballroom. No, that is an excuse as a distraction. So in other words, focus on the ballroom. No one's focusing on what's really going on over there. Do you get what I'm saying, Dee?
Yeah, I do. I follow you. Yeah. And it's putting the chess pieces in place. But ironically, and that there's always, his brilliance. The people that are paying for this ballroom are the very people who went in cahoots with the deep state and help promote all of the fake stories about him.
Yes.
But, so how ironic. They run to him now that he's big man in charge. Where were their principles? If they believed all the censorship and all the stuff that they did, they don't want to stand by that. Now they're running to him and he's okay. Maybe for my ballroom.
Well,
I find it so ironic. I do.
It's funny too that the ballroom went over budget as well. I mean, hey, they're all paying for it, so they might as well pay for it good and proper as well.
That's right. Make it right.
Now look at these companies. Google have been involved with projects of creating an AI god, right, in China. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then you got Lockheed Martin, another one with the wars and all that sort of stuff. But people don't realize that Lockheed Martin have been holding on to, shall we say, extraterrestrial technology. That's all been proven. And basically, that's why they've not been able to release things. Okay? Because Lockheed Martin and all these other industry things have got hold over because it's all, they've got hold over that thing. And obviously, they're bought and sold off people in Congress as well. Then you've got all these others, like the Amazon, I call them A-Masons, right? Apple, and all the rest of them that have been involved in the filth, right?
Right.
And you think about it, what do you say? When you get lemons, make lemonade.
Right.
Yes,
And so,
yeah, exactly.
it's just
Yeah.
ironic, and it's a little bit of poetic justice. And I hope people can see that in it. And, but again, where he's using the tactics of the game to his advantage. What did I say earlier? Okay, the children are out there fighting in the yard. They're fine. They're contained. You go entertain them. I'll go entertain them. We'll go back and forth. Because y'all look at this while I'm setting some other things in place. And that's what's happening. People are obsessed about this ballroom. It's like, it's ridiculous.
So we got here, will pension go up and retirement age go down? That's one of them.
Okay. That is not addressed by this National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. This is a fundamental structural change for our monetary and fiscal system. It doesn't deal with investments or pensions or retirement ages or anything like that. It's this Harvey's bill, National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act, will return us to a bimetallic backing for our money instead of the fiat debt currency. It will eliminate compound interest, eliminate the Fed. Second portion of the bill changes us from a income-based tax to a consumption-based tax, which is basically no more IRS, and we have a national sales tax. Those other kind of questions, those are things that'll be, could be worked out as time went. But again, his bill has never been presented in Congress. It has not been enacted. That is why we're here spreading the truth about it. So I hope that answers the question.
Isn't that lovely? Look at this. He's in Malaysia, aren't they? They're loving him there.
Yeah.
Oh, he's having a great, jolly good old time there. And they got some flags there with is that their flag with the stripes?
Let's see.
Look at that, Dee. You see it?
Yeah, I see that right there. Huh. I don't know.
Is that the Malaysian flag?
I don't know the Malaysian flag. Okay.
I'm all interested in seeing that sort of thing. So
okay, you are. Find out.
Yes, it is, darling. It is.
The official.
It is their flag.
Okay.
So there's obviously connections to America.
Obviously.
Yes.
So
isn't it very interesting being Islam, because that country's all Islam, and then having the stripes there.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. I know the crescent moon means Islam. That's why they got that on there. So then they got the stripes, which is, to me, it's like American.
Yes, it is. Does seem to be.
He was. Oh, look, forget it. He got a good old welcoming there. Gee. What's very interesting though is how they're allowing a Qatari base to be built in the United States. That's very interesting. Military base.
Hadn't caught up to that yet. So.
Yes. No. A chat for another time.
Okay, a chat for another time. I did, because we had a question that a viewer last week asked about Basel III, and I looked into it and I found out that real quick summary, it is a banking reform that it's being spread globally, and it puts stricter and it puts restrictions on banks. Now, there's two things wrong with it. First of all, it operates under the guise that we are still on a fiat-based currency. If we want something like NESARA, it would be pointless to have that. The second thing is just another patch, another fix that is going to cause banks more money, which means that they're going to send that down the line to consumers. So while the principles and the goals of it are great, I mean, what they're trying to do is to make sure banks, that the taxpayers don't have to bail out banks, which is very good. And simply that, hopefully, if we can grassroots NESARA and get people to support it, it'll be a kind of reform that we really don't need. But I have a lot more details on it. We can talk about it next week.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for... Obviously, the great dialogue that was in the chat was phenomenal. Everyone was on point, on topic, and I want to say congratulations to all of you for your unwavering support. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate
and we just all got to do our bit, and we got to it starts with us. That's what I say, grass movements, right?
Mhm.
Grassroots starts with us. So we want to make a difference, right? So, for example, we stop enabling these caster characters. It's time to do what I call the purge, right? Time to purge yourself of those entities that basically have been leading you around the garden path. You know what I mean? It's about time that you got rid of them. And even those that go around, these podcasters, whatever you call them, fakers, that go around enabling these other caster characters, get rid of them as well. The ones that I've been obviously showing. And you need to use your own discernment, because I know people say, what about this person? What about that person? What about, well, follow the guidelines. You know what we're talking about. You know what I mean, Dee?
Right. And I gave that little short checklist. And I said, in less than 10 minutes, you can identify if this is, well, let me say this. If it's not our show, because at this point, FCB and I are the only ones talking about the real NESARA from the book. This has been a book study we've been doing over the months. Now, if other people are talking about this bill, great. I please direct them to us, because we want to include them in our conversation. It would be nice to know that, hey, there are other people out there that are actually interested in Harvey's work. But right now, as far as we know, we're the only ones talking about the real thing. So that's a cue right there. But the other little checklist that I gave, you can tell real quickly. Just ask yourself those 5 questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, look, obviously, you know that these entities are going to continue to the very end, because it's all about making money, Dee. They don't care, right?
Right.
They don't care.
That's right.
They're going to milk it till they can't milk it anymore.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. And
what
so
we've got to do, you go
ahead. Oh, no, I was
what
going to say,
we got to do is stop enabling them. Yeah.
Agreed. Just, stop. I've said it before. Don't subscribe. Don't view. Don't like or dislike. Don't comment, positive or negative. Just cut them off. And it's the numbers. Because whether it's a positive or negative thing, that still goes into the algorithms, right? And so that's more activity. Engagement. Okay, normally if you engage with something, that's a line moving up on somebody's profit margin. Again, positive and negatively, it's going to, so just stop engaging, And if you're one of those people that has, been wronged, ask for a refund. The more of those requests they get, they may pay attention. So,
and there's no room for fence sitting. No, sorry.
Yeah.
We're at the point now where fence sitting is not, oh no, you want to get the best of both worlds, and no, it doesn't work that way. You either want the truth or you want to continue on with the fiction. There's no sitting on the fence for me. That's just the way of it.
Well, I think we're making a lot of headway, and I see more and more people, joining us and asking questions and that kind of stuff. So that's always a positive sign.
Definitely. And I'm going to do my little investigation to that photo. I think it warrants it. What do you think, Dee?
I agree. Let's see what we can do. Maybe we can have it on next week.
Yes, I'll tell you what my findings are. And I'm just already just by the naked eye, you could see exactly what the anomalies, that's what it is. It's an anomaly.
Right.
The anomalies are, and I've pointed it out just already. So without even putting it through the software and going through other software filters and stuff to do a further analysis of it, but you could see already that the job that they did, it was a shocker. Especially with that outline, you can tell that there's something fishy going on. And look at the history. Look at the history. I mean, he's got a consistent history of being a fraud. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it ought to be an easy decode for you.
Oh, it certainly will be. And I want to say thank you to Carol and Soren, our team. They're awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
We they are the unsung heroes that sit behind the scenes. And number one, they keep everyone in a great headspace, on par, and they also support us on the Q Lounge and the Pulse News on Telegram as well. They do so much, guys. So thank you. We appreciate you. And we all appreciate everybody. Okay. We really do appreciate it. So, Dee.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, we hope to see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
God bless. Thank you.
I know where you've been.